Hi, this is my first video of my Cosplay Tips vlog series, and it's going to be about where you can buy wigs and general information about wigs if you have no idea about wigs. I will actually try to make a infographic version of this video and post it up on my Tumblr if you'd rather just skim that instead of watching my stupidly long video. There will also be a spreadsheet full of wig stores that you can check out. I'll also hopefully make a flowchart which should kind of guide you to a general idea of what shops you should look at to buy your wig. Since wigs are such a very important part of your costume and could arguably be 50% of your cosplay depending on the character, I thought it was important to make this video first. There are a lot of qualities you want to look for in a wig, and hopefully when you get a wig it'll have most if not all of these qualities. You'll want a wig that's not shiny, you'll want a wig that doesn't get tangled too bad, you'll want a wig that is thick enough to style, not necessarily too thick, but if it's too thick that's a lot easier to fix than if the wig is too thin. You'll want a wig that's heat resistant if you plan to do any styling work on it, and you'll want one that's actually the right style to begin with, if possible. You don't want a curly wig for a straight haired character or vice versa. It is possible to style those to like curly wig to straight or straight wig to curly. It's just a lot more difficult, a lot more effort, and you could probably find a wig that's the right style for the beginning. Well, another thing you need to keep in mind when you're buying your wigs is there are a few more like specialty wig types that you should be aware of that exist. The main one I feel like most people don't realize exists is called a lace front wig. Basically, if your character does not have bangs, you will want a lace front wig. Because a lace front wig is the only way you'll get close to a realistic hairline, because the way these wigs work with the bangs, the wig's fibers are sewn to lay like this and not go back like that. There's just not a good way to get a realistic hairline out of them. Lace front wigs are a lot less common and they're harder to find, but they're still out there. The way those ones work is there is this piece of a clear lace and you were supposed to spirit gum or just find some way to stick it to your forehead, and then it'll have this fake hairline instead as opposed to like, see this, it's just like, that's not a good hairline. Another kind of wig is the pigtail wig or ponytail wig. There's two kinds of pigtail or ponytail wigs, and most common kind is the kind where it's just a short wig with some pigtail clips you can clip onto it, like these for example. They generally have the shorter base wig. This one's got the longer underneath wig because it's more of a Lolita wig. But those ones are ones you'll find all over the place. And there's nothing really wrong with them, it's just they don't have the part in the back that looks realistic. Now there are some wigs that do have that, and those ones are more specialty wigs. You'll generally have to find those on websites like Arta, and the base wig has pigtails built into it, or ponytail. So the wig fibers are able to be sewn in the right direction. So the ponytail wig can be pulled up like this, and the pigtail wig will have a skin part back here instead of this, which is not a skin part. So that's the closest to a more realistic pigtail style, and then once those base wigs have that, they generally also come with the pigtail clip for more volume that you can clip onto the wig. You'll definitely want to avoid shiny wigs. The main reason you don't want a shiny wig is more aesthetic reasons. It's just really easy to tell someone's wearing a wig when the wig is shiny, because real hair is not that shiny unless it's really greasy or oily and you need to take a shower. That's the main reason party wigs or Halloween store wigs aren't that great, is because they're almost always really shiny, really cheap. They're almost always not the correct style for the character. Now, there are some really cheap cosplay wigs around eBay that are probably at the same level. When you're looking for a wig, it's helpful to keep in mind what you can do with the wig. For example, you can't actually bleach your wig lighter or make your wig a lighter color. You can't dye the fibers lighter because they're pretty much plastic that is made that color. So you can't buy a hot pink wig and hope that you'll be able to dye it lighter and cosplay matte cut, because it's not going to work out for you. Now, you can always dye your wig a little darker, just not lighter. You can make your wig less shiny if you accidentally get a shiny wig. There are a few ways to do this. There's ways to do it with fabric softener and ways to do it with baby powder. So I'll see if I can find a good tutorial to link below, but you can generally just search how to take shine off a wig and you can find tutorials on it. You can sew together wigs if you want more volume or a split wig style or a mixed gradient style, or you can also just sew extensions in for streaks or details that your wig should have for your character. These are definitely more advanced techniques, but they are an option. Now, one thing you should always do with your wig is trim at least the bangs. You can, of course, trim your wigs and cut your wigs. You can thin your wigs with thinning scissors is probably the easiest way. You can also heat style most wigs. It'll say if they're able to be heat styled. Generally, if they're made of kanekalon, Japanese fiber, it means they are able to be heat styled. Always look at the recommended temperatures that they should be heat styled in, and when in doubt, always just use the lowest heat you can possibly use. If you use too hot of a heat, it might melt the wig or ruin the wig. You can actually dye wigs, but you can't dye them with natural dyes. You can't use hair dye, you can't use tea dyeing. I would avoid using dyes that are made for cotton fabrics because cotton's a natural material. You want to look for dyes that are made for polyester or alcohol-based ink dye methods, which are all over the internet for dyeing wigs. And one other thing you should keep in mind is if you get a wig you're not satisfied with, especially if you're going to be cosplaying this character a lot, I would highly recommend trying to buy it in a different wig from a different company to see if that one works better for you. I personally ordered a Nico wig from Kyle and didn't like how the wefts were poking out of the pigtails and the style, so I ended up selling that wig for about half its price because I didn't like it enough to be able to sell someone this to that at full price. And I ordered a different wig from Emo Kids Cosplay, which was one of the most purchased Nico wigs on Taobao, and I actually love it. I'm super glad I decided to get a second wig. The color actually ended up being a more realistic black, which was super nice bonus. So yeah, always consider getting another wig if you don't like the wig that you got. Now there are plenty of places you can buy your wigs. Like I said, I sold my wig. You can find wigs for sale on cosplay communities, which are either lightly used or just even new. But those ones more of you have to wait around until you find a wig that you actually need, but you can still find them if you just spend some time checking every now and then. Just go to like search your state or country and put cosplay at the end on Facebook to find some groups for sales groups or just cosplay groups, and you'll find people selling wigs. There's a most common place that people use to find wigs is eBay. One thing to keep in mind with eBay is all the wigs are almost always from Taobao. So if you know how to use Taobao, I would suggest getting your wig from Taobao first. But if you don't actually want to buy that much more stuff than just a wig, it might be better to get it off eBay because the shipping from Taobao can be a little ridiculous if you're only buying one thing. And of course, with places like Taobao, you'll need a shopping service to actually get the wig, and that adds a little bit more cost to it. I have made a spreadsheet of wig shops, which I will link below, and there are some wig shops in there from Japan, Korea, and China. You will need a shopping service for most of those. Now, you can't use the same shopping service for Japan, China, and Korea. The shopping service usually has to be in the country that you're shopping from. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at those companies, and I do have it marked whether or not you should need a shopping service to order from them on the spreadsheet. Popular way to get wigs is straight from companies. There are a lot of new companies for cosplay wigs based in the US, and those ones have generally well known to have high quality fiber that doesn't tangle as bad, and they always have a wide variety of colors and styles, so you can almost always find a high quality wig from them. For example, if you're getting a long character wig, it'd be a lot safer to get a wig from one of those companies than from eBay, because from eBay there's no telling you how bad that wig is going to get tangled. But at least with the other companies, you can think that the long fibers might have a better chance at not getting tangled. All of those are also linked in the spreadsheet as well. The main ones that people use or talk about are Arda and Epic Cosplay. I personally really like Purple Plum wigs. This is a Purple Plum wig. Those ones you have to buy through resellers such as animestuffstore.com. You can also use stores that sell fashion wigs for more natural colors, or some of them still have kind of crazy colors for the Lolita fashion. Those wigs would definitely work for cosplays too. If your character's popular enough with a unique hairstyle, it's a lot easier to look for a pre-made character wig, because you can usually find these by searching on eBay or Taobao, just searching the character's name and throwing cosplay or cos or wig at the end of it. You can look through those to see if they have one that you like. One thing about these though is sometimes cosplay wig companies, especially the ones based in China, will make a character specific wig without actually knowing much more about the character than seeing maybe one or two screenshots of it. So the wigs could end up being really weird colors that wouldn't actually be considered correct as far as what the character should look like. The main offender is wigs that are where they made a gradient color where a shadow should be. So with a lot of searching for character wigs, you do have to use your eyes and your knowledge of how the show or the character is, or even look at figures or merchandise to see what color their hair should be. Now, if you of course can't find the character wig you're satisfied with, or a character wig doesn't exist for your character, you can always head over to one of those cosplay wig companies that sells both character wigs and generic wigs in a lot of popular and anime styles and colors. Or they might just sell the generic wigs, and a lot of times those ones will be really high quality, so it's still a bonus. And even if you have to modify it a little by putting extension in it or something, you could still get a good wig for it. It just takes some searching. One thing you're going to keep in mind when you're thinking about ordering a wig is your deadline that you need it by. To have the most options, you're going to want as much time as possible to get a hold of your wig. Because if you want to order from eBay, most of those stores are in China. You have to think China shipping, unless you get a fast shipping, could take at least a month. Now, if you actually are a little short for time, I would suggest looking for wig shops that are based in your country or near your country, like on the same continent, because that's probably the best bet you're going to have to get it shipped fast, because then it won't have to cross overseas or anything. Now, I live in the US, there's quite a few wig shops in the US, and I've ordered from some and they come pretty fast, in about a week, but I would still recommend ordering them at least 2 weeks in advance, just to make sure it gets there in time. There's always, of course, expedited shipping options for certain things, but it's still better to just give yourself time to order the wigs. Now, if you put it off and it's literally the week before the convention or something, probably your last hope is to search cosplay sales or look and see if any of these wig companies is actually going to be at the convention and buy it at the convention. The wig store pages usually list which conventions they're going to go to. Or you can also look at the convention website, look at their vendor list, and see if any of the vendors are wig sellers. Now, the only problem with this is there's no guarantee they're going to have the color or the style you need. So, that one is pretty much a crapshoot, but hopefully it'll still work out for you. Learn from this and buy your wigs earlier next time. You'll also generally be able to buy a lot cheaper wigs because you'll be able to order from China if you give yourself enough time to buy the wigs. One last thing I'm going to talk about is what else you're going to need when you buy a wig. Most wigs you get off eBay will come with a free wig cap. So this is a wig cap. You're going to need a wig cap to wear your wig properly. If your wig doesn't come with a wig cap, you can generally order a wig cap as well. Or they sell them at Sally Beauty Supply. I'm pretty sure I got this one at Sally Beauty Supply. They're pretty cheap there. If you don't want to pay for shipping for a wig cap, just go to Sally's Beauty Supply and buy a wig cap. It's not that hard. I would also suggest getting a styrofoam wig head or one of those plastic wig stands. That way you have a place to set your wig when you're doing some styling on it. Or just a place to store your wig if you don't have that many wigs, you want it to stay nice. I've gotten a styrofoam wig head at Savers around Halloween time for really cheap, but when it's not around Halloween time, you can go to Hobby Lobby and they have them. And I'm sure you can order those cute plastic wig stands online. I've been wanting them and I need to order one. I'm going to have a spreadsheet with a bunch of wig shops linked below, as well as I'm going to have a link to more of an infographic form version of this video. And of course, for this video in particular, I'm making a nice flowchart that you can sort of guide you through what sort of wig to get. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any sort of comments about the video or an idea for the next video or request for a video you want me to do sooner than later, please post it in the comments. And have a nice day.